Hello folks, and welcome back to Vintage Machine Made Marbles. We're here with Chad Cline, director of the Des Moines, Iowa show at the 49th annual today. And Chad's going to walk us through everything we need to know about the Peltier comic marbles.
First of all, welcome. It's great to have you at the show. We've been waiting for you to come see us.
I'm here. Let's go.
I'm glad you made it. Glad you made it.
It's an honor to be here.
Fantastic. Okay, so here's what we have. There are 12 basic characters in the set.
Okay.
Peltier Picture Marbles, as they were called by Peltier. They started in 1933. They really weren't distributed widely until late 1933, early 1934. The idea came from an attorney in Chicago. Yeah, so a guy by the name of George Angerstein. He came up with the idea. He eventually applied for a patent in late 1933. But ultimately, he approached Peltier and said, hey, I've got this great idea. It's going to make us both rich. Would you be interested? And Peltier said, well, not really. We'll provide you with the
Sellers Peltier?
Yep. So it would have been Sellers Peltier at the time. And so they said, we'll provide you with the marbles. And we might even be interested in applying the comic itself.
Okay.
But we only want to handle the manufacturing element. We don't really want to handle anything else. And so they went back and forth with negotiations for a period of time. But ultimately, they decided on these 12. There were many other characters considered.
For sure, right?
They wanted they approached. They wanted originally to use Mickey Mouse. They wanted to use Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, all of the influential figures at the time.
Yep. High profile.
Yeah. They wanted the whole intent was for the character to resonate with the kids, specifically boys. There are a few experimentals that were made in very, very limited quantities. There are, and we'll show a few of those at the end of the video. But there's a Babe Ruth.
Now,
go ahead.
A lot of these are newspaper comic strip characters, right?
They are, and they're newspaper comic strip characters from the Chicago area, specifically the Chicago Tribune.
The most famous character here, Betty Boop?
I would say Betty Boop.
Okay.
Yeah, Betty Boop is so widely known, not just with Betty Boop collectors, but she's widely known. Everyone knows
star.
who Betty Boop is.
All right, Chad, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of the collectability of some of these and what we're looking at for each model, each character.
Yeah, so starting from left to right, we've got them laid out on the board here, and they're in approximate order of rarity, with the most commonly found character, Coco, being on the left, followed by, on the far right, we've got KO. Really, to find them in good shape is rare in and of itself. Again, these were made in limited quantities, but you can find them with the strikes faded and sometimes scratched off, but to find them with strong strikes like this, that can be difficult. But in addition to rarity, we've got them set out also with the most common patch color. So with Coco, Coco is predominantly found on a white base, opaque white base marble with a green patch. And with that said, we also probably should discuss about how these are all on peerless patch marbles. There's a few rare test specimens that are on opaque solids, but Bimbo is almost always found on yellow base with red patch or yellow base with green patch. Awesome. Sometimes we argue that it's about 50-50. Emma, almost always white base, blue patch. Same with Skeezix. Skeezix is almost always white base, blue patch. Moving over to Ms. Boop. So she is yellow base, red patch.
Okay.
Sandy was actually Annie's orphan dog, but Sandy is almost always white base, blue patch.
All right.
Annie is almost always white base, red patch. Andy Gump, yellow base.
I like that.
Green page. Andy, if you ever get bored, do a little research on Andy Gump. He is actually one of the few characters that was, they think, modeled off of a real life person.
Oh.
Yep. So
he's a comic strip.
He was, yeah. So Smitty is almost always yellow with green patch.
Okay.
Moon.
These are all 1920s popular comics.
They are, yeah. Coco the Clown on the far left here. He was actually in the early 1900s. He was in a comic strip called Out of the Inkwell. But yeah, amazing history on these, but again, probably outside of scope for this video.
Man.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, we said Moon was yellow base, green patch. Herbie is almost always white base with black patch. And KO.
AV sometimes in the black?
Yeah. So any of the white base black patch marbles, including Herbie or KO, can have aventurine in the black patch, and that's a multiplier of value. So be sure to check your black patches for aventurine.
Good collector's tip.
Yes. So
now I've seen the these are actually rubber hand stamps. These are all hand stamped, right?
Yeah. So every one of these were hand stamped, and let's talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So it was patented by George Angerstein, and what he did was he developed a concave stamp, and it was a wooden block, and it had a piece of concave rubber underneath that had like the embossed outline of each of these figures.
On B-roll. I have.
Yes. And what he did was they would dip the rubber stamp in linseed oil. Okay. A lot of people don't know that, but you can actually read the patent and find out all these details. So they would dip the rubber in linseed oil. They would apply a invisible transfer to each of the Peerless patch marbles, and then they would sprinkle powdered graphite onto them. And a lot of people don't know that. And so
Is there any sealant that goes over the top?
None whatsoever. A lot of people incorrectly believe that there was a layer of clear glass.
So you don't want to be cleaning these.
So unfortunately, we know of a collector who brought in an original set, did want to shine them up before a show. She used a chemical, and she wiped the transfer off all 12 of her comics.
Collector tip from Chad Cline.
Pro tip of the day.
Do not use your chemicals on your cartoon marbles.
No oven cleaner on the marbles.
So values?
Yeah, so values.
Shall we try that?
We sure can take a stab at it. I'm going to give marble show prices because that's where most of my experience is. Okay. At a marble show, you can pick up cocoa for between $25 and $35 when in mint condition with a good strike. And keep in mind, with these particular marbles, you don't only want the marble to be mint itself with no missing glass, but you want the character to have a really strong strike with no missing components. So with Bimbo, Bimbo is just about the same. I'm going to say between $35 and $45. The same is really true with Emma. She's right there between $35 and $45, plus or minus, say 10%. Skizix varies. I've seen Skizix sell for $40. I've seen him sell for $70. Okay. So it has a little wider
range. Starting to bump up. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Wider range.
Yeah. Betty usually sells for between $80 and $100. Sandy usually between about $100 to $110. Annie, I'm going to say between $100 and $125. The same is really true for Andy Gump. Smitty is usually right about the same as Andy. Sometimes I'll see Smitty go for a little bit more, but it's about right in that same range. The last three, Moon, Herbie, and KO, those are really the three that they command the strongest prices. With Moon, you're going to see Moon bring between $140 and maybe $175 pretty regularly. All right. Herbie, again, second rarest. Herbie commands the second strongest price. Usually $150 to $200.
All right.
KO is the strongest. KO is the rarest. In mint condition with a strong strike, you will see him. He will usually command between, I'm going to say $200 to $300.
Well, that is a jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the rest of them are, fairly reasonable, for collectors.
All right, so in addition to the 12 standard set of comics, we have what are the most commonly two chased, which are thought to be largely experimental. So we have Coates Master Loaf, which was a bakery or a bread company in the early 30s. You can still find a lot of their product online. But Coates Master Loaf is a highly, highly sought after Peltier comic marble, followed by Tom Mix. Tom Mix being a early 1930s cowboy movie star, if you will.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, as far as standard base color of Tom Mix and Coates, it's anyone's guess. In my experience, I see yellow base, red Coates Master Loaf being one of the most common. White base, black patch, a little more uncommon. But there are a handful of different variations. Tom Mix, in my experience, is pretty even. I see it on white base and yellow base predominantly. These examples show a green patch and a red patch respectively, but we don't have production numbers on those.
Have any idea the rough values on these harder to find?
Yeah, so these marbles being ultra rare, compared to the base set of 12, condition is more important.
Okay.
As is the consistency or quality of the strike, but ultimately, the value of a Coates Master loaf can vary. If you get a mint example like this one, with no missing glass, ultra strong strike, you can be upwards of $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a significant jump. Now the example next to it, it's a mint marble, but it has a weak strike. It drops drastically. You're probably in the $1,200 to $1,500 range tops. Tom Mix, there are thought to be fewer of those, but Tom Mix is about the same, $2,000 to $4,000.
Thank you, Chad. Oh wow. Well, one thing I've learned in going to the Des Moines show is that chasing Peltier comic marbles in the Midwest is a big thing. We're very fortunate that a few big-time comics collectors showed up to allow me to film their collections, including examples that I would otherwise probably never seen in hand. So this spread on the screen shows several of the known experimental prototype marbles, super rare, that never made it into the 12 marble sets, and a bunch of full sets in the green and yellow color combination. The second row down here shows a lime green variant compared to the more olive green marbles shown below them. That's Millionaire's Row on the top there from left to right. That's Orange Crush, the Babe Ruth Yankees, the Peltier logo, a few variations of the Coates Master Loaf and Tom Mix, all rare and super high dollar marbles. On the far right is a really pretty Herbie on a colorful orange and blue peerless patch.
What a lot of people don't know is that there are small name and big name versions of all of these marbles.
Oh, the print itself of the text
is smaller or larger. Just like is there a 1982 penny that's a large date and a small date? It's the reason they switched to the larger print was once they settled on the characters, they thought they had the names underneath. The licensors agreed that it met expectations, but then they came back and said, well, it's too small. We can't read the name.
Okay.
And if you're going to pay us for licensing fees, we need to be able to read it. If you look on the left here, this bimbo, it has considerably smaller font on the word bimbo or on the name bimbo. The marble on the right, it has, I'd say it's about a third bigger, really, 30% bigger. So if you find a small name picture marble, it is an earlier version that, quite frankly, didn't pass the quality control test.
And the character pretty much stays the same.
As we had previously discussed, these marbles came in a couple of different base colors with corresponding patch colors. So bimbo, as I mentioned, is most commonly found on yellow base with red patch or even yellow base with green patch. But we have an example here of bimbo on a white base glass with a green patch.
Nice.
Beautiful, transparent emerald.
Harder to find.
Harder to find. Doesn't increase the value substantially, but it is a bit of a multiplier. One thing I do want to talk about is we have people who have devoted a lot of time in building colored sets. So your standard color, white on black Herbie, people will build entire sets with white base and blue patch. And those collectors...
Man, those are marble collecting nerds.
You could say that.
Straight up nerds.
You could say it.
They're out there.
Guilty as charged. Guilty. But
it's fun to collect these, though. They're cool. I mean, I haven't really dove into it much, but they're neat, you know.
Yep, they certainly are.
Well, Chad Cline, thanks a lot for walking us through
the
Peltier comics. And thank you for watching Vintage Machine Made Marbles.